And good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of New York Giants football talk. Unlike the Giants disaster yesterday, we avoided one today. We're a little late, but we're here with I had some technical difficulties. I avoided them, but let's go. New York Giants football talk. I'm here with my friend, my colleague, my brother from another, Mr. Paul Rosen. Did you get some sleep last night?
Listen, I got some sleep. I got out of bed this morning, put both feet on the floor, got out of bed. The sun came up. All good, all good. But yeah, we'll shortly talk about that disaster that is called New York Giants football.
And good friend Clayton here on Bronco fan. Hey, guys, smash that like button and share. Already hearing haters. Only game one, guys, he's saying. Yes, it is. It is a long season. Uh, I think there's only one team I'd rather not beat than the Giants, and that might be the Panthers because they
Mm.
have their quarterback that they drafted number one, and he looks like a disaster. But other than that, we're going to get into the Giants game, and then we're going to wrap it up tonight on our second half with an exciting ending of our show. Some good, our top 10 Giants of all time. So looking forward to that. But Paul, I'm ready to get into what we saw yesterday
All right.
without blowing steam. Do you want me to start?
Yes, sir. Why don't you start the
Well,
festivities?
we started off Sam Darnold and the Minnesota Vikings. Lots going on wrong with that team. They had heart. Hearts go out to them. They lost a member of their team in the uh, off season. Tragic car accident. Their fourth round draft pick. Their first round draft pick, J.J. McCarthy, goes out. Journeyman Sam Darnold, who was a disaster here with the Jets, comes to town, and he looks like he's better than Tom Brady with this defense. But start things off, we gave up the ball early. We down up 3-0, and then never scored after that until another field goal, 6 points. But I don't even know where I want to go. Like, there was no goods in this team, and I'll start at the top, and that's Brian Dable. This guy came in 2 years ago, coach of the year, had me fooled, had Paul fooled, had a lot of Giant fans fooled. Oh my gosh, we got our next Bill Parcells. We got our next Tom Coughlin. I told Paul off the air, how are you going to get the fans on your side? They did. Like Clayton said, he's already hearing haters about Daniel Jones. How do you get him on your side? Throw a deep fly to Jalen Hyatt or your first round pick, Malik Neighbors. Go deep. If it's incomplete, the crowd's going to be excited. You took a shot. But if you complete it, now the fans are excited about Daniel Jones. Hey, maybe we got something here with Daniel Jones. Maybe we were wrong. What do? You hand it off for a yard. They didn't take any shots downfield. Daniel Jones looked out of place. Skittish is the word I'm going to use for Daniel Jones, Paul. He looked out of sort. Maybe it's because he was not ready to come back from that ACL injury. Maybe he's a little gun shy. But Danny Dimes, they call him, more like Danny Wooden Pennies. Okay, and I know and I know you're about to talk about it too, Paul. On the defensive side, 99-yard drive. That was it for me. You go in man coverage at the 2-yard line with Justin Jefferson. I don't care who's covering him. Justin Jefferson's going to beat you 9 out of 10 times. So I don't know what was everybody thinking. Everybody was in preseason mode. We saw this script last year. We're seeing the same script this year. And it's time to move on from Daniel Jones, maybe get Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito in. And maybe there'll be a little more excitement because Daniel Jones is our quarterback, but he's vanilla, Paul. Vanilla. There's no excitement when he's in. And that comes from Daniel Jones and the team. So that's where I'm going to go. And we're going to continue. I'm going to get your opening thoughts on it, but let me get some comments in. We got some Giant fans. Eddie Murphy saying hello.
Hey, Eddie.
Where's the trash bags, DJ? DJ had double duty. I'm going to put my glasses on, Ed. I'm sorry. I'm going to put my right here. Where's the trash bags? DJ had double duty this weekend. He played in South Bend in New Jersey. Maybe was Jet. Rookie defense played well. I'll get into that in a second. That's a good point, Eddie. I'll definitely like that there. That's a good point. And Kurt, boys, you made it. Tough Broncos lost yesterday. Bo will keep getting better. Your team needs a new coach, new GM, and new quarterback. Not going to disagree with you, Kurt. Not going to disagree with you tonight.
After yesterday, Kurt, I can't disagree with you.
And our good friend
either.
Graham from Colorado Sports Connection. Graham, put in the chat when your next show is. We'll definitely plug it there for you. Might the Giants be drafting first overall?
After yesterday, they're going to fight the battle for the number one draft pick is going to take place in Germany, actually, because the Giants play the Panthers in Germany in October. So that might be the Carson Beck Bowl.
Yep.
Anyway,
we got Coach Breslin watching, Keith watching, and Ryan's watching as well. He's saying he's going to watch quietly. So congratulations to the Eagles, Barkley. All right, I hope I got no problems with Barkley. The Giants did him wrong, so good luck to him. That's all I'll say on that. Be a good sport. Let's be good sports. That's all.
All right.
Eagles, Giants. Let's be good sports. And Graham saying it's an hour and 22 minutes, 9 p.m. Eastern tonight. You're welcome, Graham, for the Colorado Connection.
All right, let me get some things off my chest now. So after the disaster beat down by the Cowboys in the opening game last year, 40-0. I don't think too many people won't forget that game. And after last season's play, what did I say to you? Is the first game a must-win? I think we all agreed it was a must-win, right? However, the offense was abysmal, horrible, not competent, unprofessional, not up to NFL standards at all. The defense also was terrible. Like you said, 99-yard drive to allow a touchdown. The coaching was awful as well. And the use of personnel, very curious at best. As you said, throughout the preseason, they got to play their starters in the preseason games. So what does he do? He plays Daniel Jones one half of one preseason game in the first half against the Texans, and he's injured 9 months, and that's it. All they did was do 11 on 11s and 7 on 7s, and that was supposed to be the training for him enough to get him back. Well, obviously, we saw that wasn't the case yesterday. In the preseason, all we heard, Brian Daboll calling signals. They're going to throw the ball downfield. They're going to stretch the field. They're going to throw it down in training camp and in the joint practices with the Jets and with the Lions. That's what they did. What happened yesterday? Nothing. They did 11 personnel, 12 personnel, 13 personnel, like they were playing scared. Daboll, first game play calling, horrible. The longest pass that Daniel Jones threw was 20 yards. And according to the Giants, there wasn't that much pressure on him either. So you can't even blame the offensive line being bad or the fact that Minnesota was bringing 0 blitzes, which Brian Flores is known for. All right. Personnel moves. Micah McFadden, our starting inside linebacker, he was hurt. Okay. Take him out. Don't bring him in. He didn't play any in the game, and he winds up dressing, so it takes away one other roster spot. Our favorite cornerback, Cordell Flott, all summer, all training camp, we heard, oh, I'm going to play him in the outside. He's going to fight for the second cornerback. What does he do? He lines him up in the slot. And of course, what happens? He gets beat for a touchdown. Hasn't played a lick at slot cornerback the whole preseason and training camp. How many times have I said to you, Kenny, the offense always looks to me totally disorganized? How many times have I said that to you? Right? Why do we look disorganized? Yesterday, why does it look like they were so disorganized? They had 4 pre-snap penalties, 5 drop passes. Daniel Jones threw the ball into the feet of the receivers so many times, like they just met Sunday morning and started practicing. Horrible, total disorganization, as if they were still in preseason. The Vikings moved on to regular season. The Giants were still in preseason mode. The Giant defense made Sam Darnold, as you said earlier, I wrote it down also, look like Tom freaking Brady. 19 of 24, 113 passer rating, 2 touchdowns. Daniel Jones, 22 out of 42, passer rating of 44.3%, 2 interceptions. In this game yesterday, the quarterback made the difference. Vikings had the good quarterback. The Giants had the horrible quarterback. And the coaching, F's all around. Brian Dable, Shane Bowen on defense. I mean, no pass rush, 99-yard drive. Play calling for Dable was, again, conservative, horrible, no rhythm. At one point, they tried to go fast. You know what? Go fast. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just a horrible, horrible loss. And I know people will say it's the first game of the year, and people will say, you know, every week 16 teams will win and 16 teams will lose. But the reality is that this team, with a quote unquote soft home game against the Vikings, who probably will finish in 4th place in the NFC North, and then a game against Washington where, with a rookie quarterback, with any luck, they should be able to win that game down in Washington, where they seem to play pretty well. They could be 2-0, but to lose in an embarrassing way, frustrating, as much as you don't mind losing a game, but to do it the way they did is just a horrible, horrible look. And believe me, if the owners of the Giants, and I know, John, you've heard me say this time and time again, as much as the fans are annoyed and pissed off, he walked out of there yesterday, from what I read, you couldn't even talk to him. So that's all I have to say at this point.
I want to catch up on comments. We got a lot of questions coming in, so I'm going to try and do these comments in order. If I miss your comment, repeat it and I will get it on there. I'm not missing it purposely. Return the belt. Good evening, guys. Always good to see you. Return the belt. Is this Burnell or Amari? I don't know which one it is. I apologize. I know it's one of you. Ryan saying about the rivalry, he hopes we bounce back. It'd be nice to come down to the 4th quarter. That's how rivalries should be. Eddie saying maybe we were supposed to hire Brian Flores, laughing out loud.
Yeah.
He's also, and then I got some questions coming up, but Eddie Murphy, Dexter and the rookies seem like the only ones to show up. Keith saying, gentlemen, great to see you. Check out Keith, Trevor, Jody, and Albert on Denver Bronco Roundup. He's got a question about Daniel Jones. I'll get to them after the comments. Denver Bronco Roundup, Tuesday nights, Friday nights, and Sunday post-game Broncos. 9 p.m., 9:30 Eastern time. Great Broncos show. At least you guys got a rookie quarterback to, somewhat be excited about. We got a quarterback going in the wrong direction. Eddie would trade for Winston. He'd rather have a guy airing the ball out than a quarterback who looks lost. Adoree Jackson, Eddie's saying, played decent.
Yeah, that was a BS. Let me just say, that was a BS penalty. It was, if anything, at the moment, I said that was an offensive interference. So that was a horrible call. Once again, the refs. Not to use them as an excuse, though.
Eddie's also saying wide receivers looked confused on some of the plays. And he's also saying it's sad to say, but the best play in yesterday's game was the hot potato on the punt. LOL.
Yeah.
That was. Keith saying, I'm sorry, Paul. I know there's no fan like you who wants his Giants to win. Return the belt. It's Burnell. Well, thanks, Burnell, for joining us. Graham loves our passion. Off topic, he's again Colorado connection. He's saying Bo looked like a rookie, some sparks, but a lot to improve on. And Trevor, also the other part of the Denver Bronco Roundup. Hey guys, great to see you both. This team is not far away from winning. Your defense has to play better. You can't give up 28 points and expect to win. Let's get his question first. Is there a chance Jones is still hurt, Paul? He thinks Giants made a mistake not picking up a legit backup to Jones. Locke isn't the answer in his opinion.
Listen, is there a chance that he's still hurt? Everything that he did in the offseason to get to where we are yesterday, he did. He trained hard. He worked hard. The trainers, the coaches, the medical, the therapists, they all said that he was ready to go. If you're ready to go and you're out there, you better play. I mean, you're getting paid millions of dollars, all right? So if you're not 100%, then somebody on the medical team better make that decision that he can't go. That being said, he's out there. He's got to perform. Look, we all know, we've seen ACL injuries are not easy to come back. A lot of players, it takes almost a full year. But you know what? If you're not 100%, then get the hell off the field and let Drew Lock or Tommy DeVito quarterback. And I know already, Dable came out already. I don't know if you know this, Kenny. He said Jones is starting game 2. All right. He's starting Washington next Sunday. Now, ask me this next Monday, and we'll see how he played. He may not be starting game 3.
Yeah, I'm with you with the game 3. I think he's played well against Washington, so I think that's why he's playing game 2. But you go 0-2, and you got Cleveland, you got Dallas, you got Philadelphia, your next 3.
Cleveland has their own problems with Deshaun Watson, but
Daniel
that's another
Jones
issue.
Be out of there. And Giant fans who thinking of going to the stadium and burning jerseys, don't do that. I mean, as bad as somebody's playing, there's no need for that. People are going to get hurt. It's not good. It's not a good image. You start burning jerseys. They did that with Barkley. Don't do it.
They did that with the Sean Jackson jerseys. I was witnessing that.
Just stop.
I didn't have any hand in it, though.
And for them to, you can boo, but them heckling Jones as he's walking out. Give me millions, Danny. Give me millions. Stop with that. Because if things were going good, you guys are going to turn around. You'll be the first ones over there applauding Daniel Jones. You can't have it both ways. So enough with that, guys. We're better than that as fans. I don't want to keep seeing that. We're all frustrated, but let's get frustrated on here the proper way instead of at there. But I got one person I'm going to go after real quick before I get to some more comments and questions. Dexter Lawrence, I love you to death. You are probably besides Chris Jones, probably the second best defensive tackle in the game. But when reporters are asking you about the crowds booing, fans have a right to boo, Dex. Go watch your teammates' performance in the game, and I'll guarantee you watch that game from beginning to end, you're going to boo. So don't say we don't have a right to boo. I have a huge problem with that. Go out and perform better. I don't want to hear this is a rough patch. Rough patch. Enough. Go out and perform, and we'll start cheering. We have a right to boo when you guys play bad, and this is bad.
I've always said, Kenny, great point. I've always said, I'm personally not someone who goes to the stadium when I was going to the games and sat there and booed. That was not my thing. I yell more at home in front of my TV than I used to when I would go to the games. But I've always said when fans go to a game, A, they have a right to boo. B, give us something that doesn't make us boo. All right. You come out first quarter, do something early in the game that's going to get the fans energized, get the fans into it, get the fans excited. You do what this team did yesterday. What else are they going to do? Boo the hell out of you as you're walking out of the stadium, out of the off the field in the first half and throughout the second half. There was nothing in that game yesterday that caused the Giant fans sitting there with their earning, spending their hard-earned money that they shouldn't have booed.
Question from Keith that I'll answer. It's kind of a piggyback off of Trevor's question. Keith wanted to know what went wrong with Daniel Jones. This was an earlier question.
We don't have enough time.
I'm going to just say the fans, I think, is what went wrong with Daniel Jones. How the fans turned on him. He doesn't want to be here. I wouldn't want to be here if you look, Keith, I know you're in Montana, so you don't see all the New York Giants pages, the media, the fans. This guy has got to wake up and worry that his house isn't vandalized and I'm not trying to be funny, but that's how the fans are going towards him. They're burning his jerseys in the parking lot. You think this guy wants to play on this team? I want to know how you would perform. I don't know how. I know I probably wouldn't perform well if I knew the fans were against me like that. And wished me dead, probably some of them. And I'm not trying to be funny. So I think that's what went wrong with Daniel Jones. And the other thing is he's vanilla. He doesn't show any emotion. But I think that goes.
Neither did Eli.
And I just think that I think the fans turned on him, and I don't think he can handle it. And it's New York. New York is a hard place to when you fall, when the fans are against you in New York, it's the hardest place to get them on your side. And it's the other way around. When they're on your side, it's the best place to be in. Look at Jalen Brunson for the Knicks. Okay. But when they're against you, it's the hardest place to play in. And they're against him. And there's no doubt in my mind he won't be here next year.
You know what I think also is it's confidence. When he was in his rookie year, he was doing things that I haven't seen in the last 3-4 years that he is doing. And I guess building that confidence, even as a rookie, he had the ability to just play ball. And I think it's gotten to the point now with him where whether it's injuries that's taken its toll, whether it's the fans, whether it's the system, but to come out yesterday and in his third year in Dable's system to look like he did, it's impossible to understand that. And I don't want to use, again, injuries as an excuse. You know, Kenny, I've been the biggest supporter from the time that I first came on your show with you guys. I was Daniel Jones through and through. But I'm at the point now where, you know what? It's put up or shut up. It's put up or shut up. Excuses, no excuses, no injuries. You got to do what you got to do. And if you can't do it, then it's time to move on.
Yeah, let me get some more hellos, some more comments. And I got two quick ones from Graham. Eddie thinks Jones is playing scared. He has more pick sixes than he has touchdown passes since he signed the contract. That was a bad pick six yesterday. One of the worst.
Horrible decision.
Honestly, and then Eddie saying honestly, there's people out there with no clothes. At least donate the jerseys. He didn't say, and also saying he didn't say you didn't have the right to boo. Why aren't people saying the full quote? He said he doesn't respect it, but he gets it. To me, that's the same thing. You don't respect booing. Well, go and perform a little better. Hey, I love Dexter Lawrence, but I'm going to disagree with him on that. I have a right to boo, and I will boo if you're playing bad. But where I'm going to go is fans do not have shouldn't. You want to go out and bash the fans that are burning jerseys. Do that, Dex. But I can boo. There's nothing wrong with booing. because when you play well, I'm going to cheer.
Let me give you a perfect example. Francisco Lindor, when he came to New York, the hype about him coming to the Mets was unbelievable. He didn't have a good first year. The fans were booing. Even in his second year, and even last year, okay? Beginning of the year, he was horrible. The fans were booing. He has turned it around to the point where every night now, fans are yelling MVP. So, like you just said, Kenny, if there's anybody in New York who can turn it around, you play well, the fans will cheer. Believe me, they will.
Yeah.
New Yorkers are sophisticated enough. They can see the effort, they can see the motivation, they can see you performing at a high level, and they want that. I mean, the Giant fans are booing because they want the Giants to succeed after all these horrible, bad seasons.
And a couple hellos out there. Everybody's friend Michael Ronquillo, Denver Bronco
Hey,
fan.
Michael.
He's with us with Giants. He's with our. He supports all our shows. He's saying good evening, Kenny and Paul, with the blue and white hearts tonight, not the blue and orange hearts. He's got the blue and white, the blue and orange hearts for you, Michael. I know you're a big Bronco fan. Thank you for hanging out with us. Richie Katwiko also saying, hey guys. Jets catch a break tonight. Christian McCaffrey is not playing for the 49ers. Little break.
Oh, wow.
Wow. He's saying that was a bad
Lucky.
contract and with Jones, and it took Sims 5 years to make it, Richie's saying.
Yep.
Graham's couple, Michael's saying, Michael also saying McCaffrey ruled out with a calf injury. So watch out, Jets. Jets in good shape tonight, maybe. There's a couple questions from Graham. This one you're going to like, Paul. I'll let you, not that you're going to like it. I'm going to let you answer this one because this is your boy. Wink, wink. Are you surprised Kadarius Toney is back on a team? Browns.
Oh, they signed him? I didn't know that. Oh, my God. Well, listen, every pot has a lid. So I guess every scrub has a possible team that's willing to take a chance on this guy. But I guess like the Giants in Kansas City, a leopard doesn't change his spot. So this guy's not going to change. Mark my words. I don't know. Did they sign him to the practice squad or to the roster? Do we know?
Not sure. We'll get that answer. Yeah. Graham's other question, I'll answer. He wants to know, would we take Shedeur Sanders in 2025? I would. I'm leaning more towards Quinn Ewers, though. If you watch him at Texas, Graham, what he did against Michigan, a real team, impressed me. And last year, he was going good, too. So I like Quinn Ewers a little more than Shedeur Sanders, but I would take him. But anything else, Paul? We got a couple more minutes we could take on some of our thoughts on the game. Some of the rookies, Eddie mentioned it early. Some of the rookies on defense did play well. Tyler Newman, but Drew Phillips did a good job in the time he was in there. But a couple other issues I have, Paul.
Let me just throw in Neighbors. He had a 3.8 yards of separation, which was the 8th best in the NFL yesterday. So, I mean, he had 5 receptions, I think 66 yards, a couple of 25-yard receptions. So, listen, if somehow Daniel Jones can get his crap together, I think we have the makings of a fantastic receiver finally.
Practice squad for Kadarius Toney. Thank you, Graham.
Thanks.
Eddie's adding fuel to the fire. He said with the Giants, they're probably going to draft Riley Leonard.
Right. Oh, Eddie, believe me, he's worse than Daniel Jones. Oh my God.
We won't get into that.
We'll have to talk about that some other time.
Yeah, we don't want
what a great weekend for my teams, right?
We're gonna end off on a high note with the 100-year team, which we're gonna do in a few minutes. But a couple other questions I had, Paul. Isaiah Simmons, do we know why he didn't play at all?
Again, no. And again, that was one of the personnel decisions that I scratched my head. Here he was supposedly going to be used as sort of a hybrid linebacker / safety / jack of all trades, and he never played one down. So I'm not understanding Shane Bowen's defense and the rhyme or reason, especially with Micah McFadden not being in yesterday at all.
And he's saying in Chapman, he wanted to see him play. And Trevor just made me want Quinn Ewers or no or not. He just changed my mind on Shedeur Sanders. Sanders walked off the field and headed to the locker room with 2 minutes before the game was over on Saturday. Kenny, I can't imagine that would go well in an NFL locker room.
No.
All right, that changed my mind right off. Quinn Ewers, Beck, one of those two's got to be a Giant next year. And you got to move up for him if we do end up in the middle of the pack with the draft pick.
I have a question for you. In light of Dexter Lawrence's comments, and I'm not projecting this at all, but with the Giants, if they were, say, 0-8 and the trade deadline, would there be a possibility of them trading Dexter Lawrence, who arguably could be their best player, to a team for, say, a first pick in order to have a second first pick to be able to trade up if need be to get that quarterback?
Yes. Because Dexter Lawrence, as great as he is, he's not the leader of the team. The gunslinger. You need the gunslinger. You need the quarterback. As good as Dexter Lawrence is, you may have to move on from him. And I hate for that to happen, but you may have to assure yourself one of the top quarterbacks. And that's the case, though. I can guarantee you Dable's going to be gone. And Eddie's question I wanted to get to, I almost forgot. Belichick in 2025, any chance?
Listen, Kurt's been beating us over the head with that. Anything is possible. He's out there. He's a free agent. I'm sure. I mean, let me just say this: as great a coach as he was with New England, he loved working and coaching with the Giants. Unfortunately, it didn't work out when Parcells retired. But if Belichick has a chance to come back to New York and coach the Giants this time as head coach, I think he would jump at the chance without hesitation.
I agree. We got some comments. Miss Pearl saying hello. Pearl,
Hi, Miss Pearl.
Miss Pearl, great to see you. She is not a fan of either one of the top two quarterbacks. So she's not a fan of Quinn Ewers neither. I am personally a fan of his. He did get hurt a couple of years ago, and that's why he is still playing. But let's see how far he takes this Texas team this year, because there's a lot of good competition in the SEC. So
I'm going to throw this
in the SEC. That's going to be key for me.
I'm going to throw this name also into the mix. Jackson Dart from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Jackson Dart could be a sleeper kind of quarterback. I mean, obviously he's well known. He might even be a Heisman Trophy finalist, but that could be the kind of quarterback. Hey, they drafted or they traded for an Ole Miss quarterback a long time ago. Hey, maybe make it second time.
Let me catch up. We got a bunch of comments. Back to the Isaiah Simmons. Graham said he was supposed to be incredible. Eddie said that they said he was injured. I didn't hear that, but that
did not hear that either.
That would make sense. Eddie would rather have Travis Hunter over Sanders. He thinks this quarterback draft class is going to be weak. I kind of disagree. I think it's going to be decent with Ewers and Beck. I think you'll have Dart, like Paul just said, and I think there'll be a sleeper or two out of this that really come in. Cam Ward is one to watch out for in Miami. He might, if he decides to come out, he might be a name to watch. So let's see as the season progresses. I think you're going to see some quarterbacks climb boards. Keith saying Sanders was pointing to his Rolex to the crowd in the final minutes of his win the week earlier. Yeah, I don't like that at all. Jody's got a question we'll get to in a second. Keith wants to know, didn't Derek Carr visit the Giants? I'm not sure if he did or didn't, Paul. Do you remember if he did?
No, I don't think he did.
He didn't, right?
No.
Okay. Uh, and fun fact from Graham: Bill Belichick used to be on the Broncos coaching staff. I did not know that.
Neither did I.
That's a fun fact there for sure, Graham. I like that. Jody wants to know, what quarterback do you want next year, Paul? Doesn't have to be a rookie. It could be a veteran. He's just asking, what quarterback would we want next year?
If Daniel Jones doesn't work out, I'm drafting a quarterback, and I like Beck, but I think Jackson Dart might be that guy that can come in and hopefully lead a team in New York. So I like Beck as my first and Dart as my second quarterback.
Michael's with you with Carson Beck. He likes Carson Beck as one of his favorite college quarterbacks this year. I'm going to go draft Quinn Ewers, but I'm going to go bold. My second decision here. You just said Dexter Lawrence, right? Earlier, about 5 minutes ago. If we're doing bad, would you trade Dexter Lawrence? Yes. But let's hope there's a team that's 0-1 right now. But going bold here, Kirk Cousins takes this Falcons team by storm starting next week. Giants give a call. Maybe we can get Michael Penix over here. I don't know. It's a long shot. But
I
no,
would
I'm
doubt
going to
it.
go bold. I'm going to go bold. I don't think they're going to keep both next year. I mean, it'd be a waste to keep these guys wasting on the bench. But we'll see. When you can get a Dexter Lawrence for a Super Bowl run, if the Falcons are pushing for a Super Bowl, that might be a move that the Giants could possibly make. You know, little bold there, and maybe that's what these Falcons were thinking too when they drafted Penix. Is trade deadline time come, if they're making a Super Bowl push, they can get a star for Penix. Interesting to see if that's their thought process, but you never know. You know, you don't get a chance to win Super Bowls every year, and if the Falcons are there in the AFC, in the NFC South, they might go at it in the trade deadline. Going to be interesting. 1978, assistant special teams coordinator and defensive assistant for Belichick. Would you trade for Justin Herbert? Paul Keith wants to know. That's a good question.
The problem is I don't know. The problem is I don't know who the coach is going to be next year. That's the problem.
Yeah.
If Dable and Shane are gone, then I don't know who's going to be the coach that wants to or could trade for him. I don't know that. Would I? Yes. I think under the right circumstances, he's going to be a good quarterback. Actually, I think Harbaugh is going to get the most out of him that he's ever gotten as a quarterback from Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
But would I trade for him? Again, if all things being equal, yes, I would.
Jody's saying it's only 1 week, you know, about our performance, you know, but it was a bad performance and one to be concerned about.
Yeah.
Jody. But I appreciate you saying 1 week. I do.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the loss, it's how they lost. That's the alarming aspect of that, especially after the way they lost their opening game a year ago. And you didn't want to have that happen again at home, facing a team with I think you called him a what? How did you describe Sam Darnold as a?
Sam Darnold was. What do you look like? Tom Brady, Joe Montana?
No, like a quarterback that's been around.
Journeyman.
A journeyman, yeah, that's the exact word. Right, a journeyman quarterback, and it made him seem like Tom Brady. No, you can't lose like that. If it was 28-27, last minute field goal, hey, you played a competitive game, tough game. That's one thing.
2 more real quick, yes or no's from you, Paul, and then we'll get into the finish our top 100 with our top 10 Giants of all time. Sam Darnold, when he loses his job to J.J. McCarthy, one game. It's one game, Jody. Just as your thing before, I'll answer this one and I'll let you answer Trevor's. One game, Jody. I got to see Sam Darnold for a few years. Yes, Sam Darnold has talent, but I need to see it for a full year before I'm thinking of bringing Sam Darnold over as a starting quarterback, in my opinion. But I'll give you Trevor's. Would you take a chance on Bryce Young? Could be a low-cost upside trade if Carolina were to move on. And I'll add that Shane and Carolina's GM have a bond. I will add that.
Well, it's funny that he mentions that after reading the disaster that probably they were worse than even the Giants yesterday. Here's the interesting thing I was thinking of. Carolina may swallow the bit and move on from Bryce Young because at this point he still looks underwhelming. He still looks like a deer in the headlights. And the funny thing is Daniel Jones is from Charlotte. And I was thinking about this today and I said, they release him, let Daniel Jones go down to Carolina and let him become the quarterback in Carolina because they'll get rid of Bryce Young and just say, listen, we're going to start all over. And maybe in a friendly environment, hometown environment, maybe Daniel Jones will finally put it all together. But no, I will not take Bryce Young. I didn't like him coming out. I thought he was too small, too fragile. He was great in Alabama's system, but for the NFL, I think they were wrong, and I think he's going to be a bust.
I do too. Unfortunately, let's hope I'm wrong, but I do see the same bust potential there for sure. And Keith's saying he doesn't blame the defense. Offense never put them in an envious position. All right, Paul, we're caught up on comments. We vented for good 43 minutes there with the fans, rightfully so. I knew it was going to be energetic, a lot of talk, but I said we were going to end tonight on a happy note. And of course, for those who don't know, we're celebrating our 100-year anniversary of our franchise, and the Giants put together their top 100 of all time, and Paul's been giving us the list each week, and we are down to our final 10. So I'm going to give this to Paul in a second. I do want to catch up on one comment from my cousin Gary Williams. Who stinks worse, the Commanders or the Giants? We have a way better quarterback than the Giants, but we both stink. In no way I take Young. He's horrible. We're going to find out who's worse. Gary,
next Sunday.
You gave up 37 to the Bucks. We scored 6 against the Vikings. So we're going to see. We're going to see what happens. Eddie doesn't like the jerseys. I like the Canadian jerseys, Paul. I do.
Mm-hmm. We talked about that.
We're going to get some, Ed. We'll get you one too, Eddie. That'll be your punishment if you lose fantasy football this year. You got to wear one of those jerseys. But we're going to get into the top 100 again. Paul's been doing this each week, doing a great job, and we're going to continue with our top 100. Paul, and you take it away, my friend.
Thank you.
I'm going to put this up on the screen here for us. Not LT. There we go.
So, as Kenny just said, we've been going week after week. The top 100 Giants of all time is voted on by a panel of 13 experts. Over 5,000 Giant players have played for the franchise, and they narrowed it down to the top 10, the top 100. So we're at numbers 1 through 10. We'll start with number 10. And as you can tell, with the Giants having 100 years, a lot of these are old-timer type of players. So the first one, as you can see, the picture is Andy Robustelli. He was a defensive end they actually traded for from the Rams, and he became their defensive leader, sort of a Michael Strahan, and we'll get to him in a few minutes. And he became he was a leader from the 1956 championship. They wound up winning 5 conference titles in 58, 59, 61, 62, 63. He played in 8 championship games, 7 Pro Bowls, 7-time All-NFL, Hall of Famer, Giant original inductee into their Ring of Honor. And actually, in his last 3 seasons, he was a player coach. His last 3 seasons with the Giants. So you can imagine how smart he was to be not just the defensive end, but also the defensive leader and a coach all at once. Number 9, a name that many of you guys may have heard of, is Sam Huff. Uh, Again, a rookie on the 56 championship team. He was a guard and tackle in college, and they moved him to middle linebacker. And all of a sudden, he became an unbelievable middle linebacker in what they came to known as the 4-3 defense, as we all know. And he was a linebacker for that 1956 championship game. And again, in that same era, played on the 58, 59, 61, 2, and 3 conference title games. 5-time Pro Bowl, 2-time first team All Pro, 4-time second team All Pro. He was a 1950s All Decade member, Giant Ring of Honor Hall of Famer, named the top linebacker in 1962. He was the heart and soul of the Giant defense. And actually, the Giant fans at that time started yelling, defense, defense. And that was where it originated. And now you hear that throughout all stadiums, and especially in football, and then obviously in basketball in New York with the Knicks. So, but he sort of emphasized that defense, where offense was the number one thing, but the Giant defense was outstanding. Number 8 is my all-time favorite player. I'm going to let Kenny speak about him, but my most favorite Giant of all time, Eli Manning. So, Kenny, why don't you talk a little bit about Eli?
Yeah, just real quick. Pearl's dad was a big Giant fan. All his life, her dad passed away in 1977. Well,
Oh,
uh, Miss Pearl is a Jets fan living out in Colorado area now, so she's converted into a Bronco fan. But so thank you again for joining us. And I know your dad has seen some good teams from the Giants back in the days, and a lot of these players that we mentioned in the weeks, Miss Pearl. So thank you for sharing that with us. Eli Manning was drafted by the Chargers draft day, and in a draft day trade comes over to the Giants, and the Giants drafted Phillip Rivers. He goes to then the San Diego Chargers. So the Manning blood, Archie Manning, Peyton Manning, Eli comes. He had some growing pains. Fans were booing him. I remember that, but quick and sweet, because it's Paul's favorite guy. The 2 Super Bowls, Paul was at one of them. Beat the Patriots in not one but 2 Super Bowls. The undefeated team, and then the second Super Bowl as well. We made it as a 6 seed, and this guy was just clutch in big games. Blood in the blood, the Manning blood. It's just, there's nothing like it. Archie, Peyton, Eli. Curious to see how their nephew Arch does with Texas, but Eli, a true Giant, 2 Super Bowls, one of the best ever, well-deserved, number 8. I'm going to let Paul talk about him a little more.
yeah, well said, Kenny. There were growing pains, but once he hit his stride, all of a sudden the genes came out, and Eli was an Iron Man. He only lost 1 game in his career, and that wasn't because of injury. He played every other game because of his ability to stay on the field. And you've heard me say the best ability is availability. He's set over 20 franchise records, Giant records, NFL Man of the Year, Giant honoree in the Ring of Honor. The best thing to say about Eli, Wellington Mara, the owner of the Giants, used to always say, once a Giant, always a Giant. And Eli, who had the most seasons of a Giant in history, 16, always said, for me, it's only a Giant. They retired his number 10 a few years ago, and uh, I think, in my humble opinion, I think come January or February when they announce the new class for the Hall of Fame, I think Eli is going to lead that Hall of Fame class of 2025. So Eli, number 8.
Paul, let me get the couple comments in because they're coming in about Eli and stuff. But Keith, back to Sam Huff. He remembers Gifford always talking about Sam Huff.
Mm-hmm.
Jody want to know, at the time, did you like the Rivers Manning trade? 100% loved it, Jody.
Yeah.
Eli was always a class act from Keith. And Gary's top 5, and he's going to like Gary's top 5 is LT number 1, YA Tittle 2, Strahan 3, Huff 4, Carson 5. So, Gary, you're close. You're going to see where the top 5 are soon and see where yours are as well. Take it away, Paul. We're caught up.
All right. Number 7, one of the all-time great Giants, Harry Carson, drafted as a defensive end, and they converted him also to middle linebacker and played 12 years, known as the captain. Willis Reed was known as the captain. Well, Harry Carson was known as the captain for the Giants. Just an unbelievable, solid player, quiet off the field. I had the pleasure of meeting him numerous times, but just a warrior on the field. Him and Banks and LT and Gary Reasons or Brian Kelly formed a linebacking set for the Giants that set standards for the NFL. He was Parcells' go-to guy in terms of getting the defense straight, and just an overall solid Hall of Famer and a guy that the Giants relied on for 12 solid seasons. And a lot of the seasons early in his career were on really bad teams. So, Kenny, anything you want to say about Harry Carson?
Yeah, one memorable moment from Harry Carson, again, Banks, Taylor, Reasons, Pepper Johnson, the linebackers that we've had in that era, just, there's no comparison. But the inventor of the Gatorade dunk, and it was Bill Parcells, the first recipient of it, the 1986 Super Bowl, Bronco fans. Harry Carson wore the security jacket and got him with the Gatorade dunk. So it should be trademarked, and Harry Carson's name. Maybe it should be called the Harry Carson Gatorade dunk because he was the creator of it. And, it could be in his legacy, that the creator of it. And to this day, it's in every sporting event when somebody wins a championship, the coaches get dunked. So
yep.
Harry Carson, the creator of that. But hey, Hall of Famer, deservingly so here. I think he might even be like Gary has him ranked 5. I would have maybe moved him up a couple spots. But, we're going to see whoever we have going into the top 5 shortly.
All right. Number 6, Hall of Famer Emlyn Tunnell. He has an interesting story. He was a defensive back for the Giants. Still holds the record for most interceptions, 74, by a New York Giant defensive back. Just to give you an idea, Deion Sanders in his career had 54, and Emlyn had 74. He took a train from Philadelphia to New York in 1948. He wasn't drafted in the NFL draft, just to have a tryout with the Giants. And they agreed, and they signed him. And it was the best thing, one of the best undrafted free agents the Giants ever had in their history. He was so good on defense, they used to call him Mr. Offense on defense. One year, he had so many return yards after interceptions and on punt and kickoff returns. He had more yardage than the leading rusher in the NFL. That's how many yards he had and how good he was with the ball in his hands. He was the first African-American player on the Giants and the first to go into the Hall of Fame, and just a fantastic player. And off the field also, he was an incredible person. So Emlyn Tunnell, number 6. Number 5, Michael Strahan. Kenny, take it away with Michael.
Michael came second round pick out of Texas Southern. Michael Strahan drafted second round by the Giants out of Texas Southern. But I also remember his family. He's coming out of a military background. Was it Germany, Paul?
Yes,
and
his father.
Hey, what can I say about Mike? Probably, after LT, definitely the second best edge rusher. Argue if you want to call him a defensive end, and he's the best defensive end in Giants history. And he gets one mark on his record sack performance was that Brett Favre laid down for him. Well, you know what? If that's the case, and Brett Favre had a hell of a lot of respect for him and respect around the league for Strahan. So, again, 2 Super Bowl wins. Big reason why the defense beat the Patriots in those 2 Super Bowls was Strahan leading the defense. So, Michael Strahan, I can't say enough good things about him. And right now he's doing a good job in the booth with the Fox crew pregame, and then he's got a show on ABC in the morning time. So he's a New Yorker for life, let's say.
All-time Giant leader in sacks, yes, even more than LT. NFL player, defensive player of the year he set the record for the sacks. 7-time Pro Bowl, captain of the Giants in 2007 when they beat the Patriots. And actually his last tackle as a Giant was tackling Tom Brady in that Super Bowl for a loss. So great way to end his career. They retired his number 92. And again, one of the true great Giants of all time.
Real quick, Paul, Eddie Murphy's got to go, but he says, quick thing before I leave. I just watched a short clip of Carl Banks. He said at halftime, LT said to him that he can take 22 players of the top 100 and go out and beat the Vikings. Love you, LT. Love you.
I think that was the YouTube video
that
I sent you. Yeah.
And,
all right.
He's saying real quick, 64, an African-American about Emlyn Tunnell must have been amazing. Strahan, another real original. Don't like my gap in my teeth. I'm keeping it. Pearl saying great players with the heart emojis. Jody wants to know if you notice I don't notice off the top of my head, how many sacks by LT before sacks were a stat?
I know that exactly right off the top of my head. In 1981, in his rookie year, he had 9.5 sacks, which did not count because sacks were not an official statistic until 1982.
Gotcha.
So 9.5.
Okay. Let you continue.
All right. Number 4, one of the all-time great Giants. Wellington Mara's probably his favorite player of all time, Frank Gifford, the Golden Boy. He was his favorite, almost like a son to him. They drafted him out of USC. He was an All-American player there. He played offense. He played defense. He quarterbacked a little bit. He combined for almost 10,000 yards as a Giant. Still holds the Giant record for most touchdowns in his career, 78. He was on the 56 championship team. You notice there's a lot of those players in the top 10 that were on those teams. Just a Hall of Fame career. And of course, many more recent fans, younger fans, remember Frank Gifford as a broadcaster, Monday Night Football with Howard Cosell on Monday Night Football. He was just a great talent. Frank Gifford being in New York, utilized his good looks, his use of the media, and actually became one of the first player athlete broadcasters. And they used him in commercials, and then he branched out into being a broadcaster once his career ended. So Frank Gifford, his number was retired, number 16 as well. Hall of Famer. You'll notice these last 7, 8 players, or I guess from Harry Carson on up, the theme is all Hall of Famers with in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Kenny,
Did I lose you?
can you hear me?
I hear you. Got me?
Yeah, I have you.
Okay. Yeah, no, Frank Gifford, again, I don't know if his career was before my time, but you read stories about him, the career he had with the Giants. Hall of Famer, married the Kathy Lee, right? Kathy Lee Gifford,
Yeah.
ABC. They were big, Hollywood couple. When you talk about Joe DiMaggio, Marilyn Monroe, well, there's Frank and Kathy Lee. So another New York couple there, celebrity couple. So the Booth, I remember him in Monday Night Football, and he'll be well deserved there with his ranking of number 4 for sure.
All right, now we go to the top 3, and 2 of the 3 players played a long time ago, but number 3, Mel Hein. He was a center and linebacker back in the day when many of the players went both ways on offense and defense. They played 60 minutes. There were no breaks to go play offense and then go play defense. So played 15 seasons, which at the time was the most in Giant history, then later tied by Phil Simms and Michael Strahan, and then broken by Eli, who played 16 seasons. He was a first team All NFL center for 8 straight years, 5-time All NFL, named to the NFL, named actually as a center, the NFL MVP in 1938. The Giants won the championship. Imagine a center nowadays being named the MVP in the league. So how crazy is that? He is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. The Giants retired his number 7, and to be voted number 3 on this great 100 list is something. Okay. Top 2.
Top 2, we're ready for him, Paul.
Roosevelt Brown, who Kenny reminded me of him, and it was a great call because I knew he would be in the top 10, but to be number 2, Kenny, you have all the applause naming him. Roosevelt Brown was a draft pick, 27th round from a school, Morgan State, which was a predominantly black school in the early 50s. And they say now it might be the biggest steal in the draft history. He became all-decade in the 50s for the Giants. He started, get this, 13 straight years at offensive tackle for the Giants. That's how good he was, and he lasted so long. All NFL, 8 consecutive years. He played in the 56 championship game and all these other title games that we've been talking about with players from that era. Named to the all-time NFL 50-year anniversary and 75-year anniversary teams. Roosevelt Brown was just an unbelievable player, and from a low draft pick at a small school to turn into one of the great players, not just in Giant history, but in NFL history.
When you say Giants, look at his hand on that helmet.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, imagine those hands coming at you to block. Like he had to be incredible. Again, like you just said, 27th round. You know what? Technology wasn't around back then, so somebody had a connection with Morgan State to go scout him because they did their job. And whoever scouted Roosevelt Brown, Rosie, nicknamed Rosie, hats off to them, because, like I said, no technology back then. You're just getting word of mouth.
Mhm.
You're not getting much film on them in those days. So yeah, Rosie Brown, man, look at those hands. Imagine him trying to block somebody on the other side. I'd be afraid to line up opposite of him. So obviously didn't see his career, but when you talk Giants and you talk offensive line, which we've been talking about for a couple of years now in the opposite direction, this guy's name comes up. Why can't we have a Rosie Brown? So Rosie Brown, number 2. A little shocked about the number 2 ranking. I thought maybe Harry Carson, the Strahans would have been up there, but I figured top 5, but 2, hats off to you, Rosie Brown. Excellent Giant, and Giant for life.
And number 1 Giant voted all time.
Dave
I think.
Brown.
What's that?
Dave Brown.
I don't think there's any doubt that this man in the picture, LT, is the GOAT. He probably would be the GOAT in almost any team's voting number 1. Ryan Scoop Woodhams didn't have him on his top 5 list of greatest defensive players, which is a shock to all of us, Kenny and Carson. But there's no doubt that this man changed the world of football when he was drafted and came into the NFL. Teams changed their whole scheme of how to block this guy because he was unblockable. At the time that he retired, he set the Giants record. And I think at the time he was second in the NFL history with 132.5 sacks when he retired. There's not enough superlatives to talk about how great a player he was. Whether he was rushing the passer, dropping back in coverage, defending, going from sideline to sideline. This guy did it all. Teams changed their schemes. Gary's Washington, Redskin teams, Joe Gibbs had to change his whole scheme of blocking in order to protect the quarterbacks from the havoc that LT caused. In 1986, when the Giants won the Super Bowl, he was voted MVP, not just Defensive Player of the Year, but MVP. He was the last defensive player to win that award. No other defensive player has won that award since. Named to the NFL all-time 100th anniversary team. It just doesn't end. Obviously, Hall of Famer, Ring of Honor. There's just not enough, as I said, not enough superlatives to talk about how great a player Lawrence Taylor is. And whenever they have the list, he's usually either 1 or 2 as the greatest player, not just in Giant history, but in NFL history. Kenny?
Yeah, what can you say about this guy, the GOAT? There was you talked about the Redskins. I'm going to talk about the Eagles. I've said this before on previous shows, but I know there's a lot of people out there that may not know this. Go on YouTube and look up Buddy Ryan bounty on LT. Buddy Ryan put a bounty out to take out Lawrence Taylor. Lawrence Taylor finds out, and this is against good Eagles offensive line. Lawrence Taylor finds this out. What does he do? Back-to-back sacks off of was it John Runyon? I think it was, Paul, or
no, I don't think it was Runyon at that time.
It was before Runyon.
It was before Runyon.
Yeah, and Buddy Ryan's face was dumbfounded. But if you don't know Lawrence Taylor, go and watch Lawrence Taylor, because before you say this guy isn't top 5, you don't have to be 50 years old to know Lawrence Taylor. 10-year-olds know Lawrence Taylor's the best player in football. So, I mean, just go and watch this guy's highlights. There'll never be another LT. I had the pleasure of having him on my team, the New York Giants, Paul's team, the New York Giants. New York Giant fans out there, Eddie Murphy, everybody, we had the pleasure of having this guy on our team. There'll be never be another one like him. Never be another Mariano Rivera, they say, but there'll never be another Michael Jordan. There'll never be another Lawrence Taylor. And we had the pleasure of having him on our team. So number one, and maybe number one defensive player in all of history in football for sure. Easily number one. So
if Bill Belichick comes out and says, "Don't ever compare anyone else to Lawrence Taylor," that's good enough for me.
Absolutely. And there's anything else, Paul, with the top 100 before we wrap this up? It was great doing this each week with you.
Yep, thank you, and you did a fantastic job. We had a great time doing it. It just goes to show you the long, great history. Of course, in the short term, we're wringing our hands recently about the Giant history, but as you can see, there were many, many, many great players in New York Giants football history that we can go back and say we're glad that they were on our team.
Absolutely, Paul. I couldn't agree more. What a history in the New York Giants, 100 years. Yeah, you know what? The season didn't start off the way we wanted to, but you know what? If we're going to have a bad season, I can go back and look at this top 100 each week and be like, wow, I remember that year, and just get some good memories. Maybe, if we have a bad year, maybe I'll put a player up each week for us, and we can have a few good moments of our New York Giants football talk with our fans.
Sounds like a good plan.
Get some good stories about them that we may have forgotten about. So, all right, Paul, I think I'm ready for some closing thoughts if you are.
Yeah, well, the good thing is the sun will come up tomorrow. Hopefully next Sunday we have the Commanders down in their home field, their home opener. Maybe we can turn it around. Hopefully we can. They can't play any worse than they did. Hopefully they'll all look at themselves in the mirror, and we've got to do a good job starting from Joe Shane, Brian Dable, and every single player that's on this roster. And hopefully they take it to heart and they will perform a lot better and maybe come away with the win.
I want to apologize. On my personal page, I lost the stream. So Gary and anybody else out there following, they lost the signal. But if they go back and watch this, join the K&K Sports Show page on Facebook or YouTube, and it'll be on here. So anybody on my personal page, I apologize for not answering your questions and comments towards the end of the show there. Other than that, Paul, we're going to be on Sunday morning. We hope to be on Sunday morning, 11:30 a.m. with the pre-game week 2 versus those Commanders. And we're going to see, maybe we can get either Coach Breslin and or Gary on with us, who are both Commanders fans. We can have a little fun with them and break down the game with them. So thank you, everybody. Great show. Go enjoy some Monday Night Football. We planned on trying to get off before Monday Night Football. We appreciate you all hanging out with us during Monday Night Football. And go enjoy the game, and let's see how the other team in New York does tonight. So have a good night, everybody.